Podcasting's fun.
Yeah, we're doing really good. This is like technically our
Seventh,
fifth, ninth. Yeah. So we just did a food plot episode.
27-minute food plot episode.
And one of the cameras wasn't recording. That one.
Yeah.
So now we're back. We're going to talk about exactly what we've already talked about.
Yep.
I think we got this fixed now. We're going to look at the red lights, make sure the camera's still on, and go back to talking about food plots and where we're standing at right now. Let's jump right into the rain that we've got, which is nice. This week's going to be pretty eventful with rain in the forecast. It is August 3rd, and plots are going to be pretty nice, I hope, by October 1st.
Well, we never get rain in August.
True.
Ever.
True.
So,
it's been a few years.
Yeah, and it's not one big rain event. We're supposed to get rain like 6 times in the next 10, 12 days.
Yeah, and I think the last time we had this happen is when I had a lush food plot at my in-laws, and came up really, really nice.
Was that that year?
That's
not the same.
No, it was before that.
That year.
Yes, that might have been that because I had the muddy blind in there for him. We hung that big game stand for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he disappeared, and Jen found him later. So
yeah,
it was a
EHD.
good year. Yeah, it was a good year for food plotting. Not necessarily for EHD. It kind of sucked.
Yep, but my farm down south, the first big rain event got between the two farms like 3.5 inches.
This week,
the first big woof, which was what, Saturday or
today's
Sunday?
Thursday. So yeah,
Sunday or Monday?
Monday.
I don't know. What the first one, the big one that went through, and then just yesterday got another 1.5 inches. So my plots have had between 4 and 5 inches on them in the last 4 days.
And that's after because you got down there. I think it was Monday that you went down, and it rained.
Friday.
So it was Friday.
It was Friday.
So you've got seed that was directly irrelevant to those plots, and
right,
well, right before the rain.
I was worried because it was supposed to rain Friday. Went a mile. Like, I'm watching the radar. It's like a mile. It's a section south. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Saturday, it's supposed to rain. Mile south. And I'm like, this can't happen
this
again.
is a slap in the face.
Every year it happens. Doesn't matter. Or I'll get one rain. It'll get like 1/2 inch. Pops up. Fries it.
Yep.
Gets to 100 degrees.
And doesn't rain for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, or just at all.
You're down there with a water tank and a generator
and
a
trying
pump,
to
do
save
anything.
the plants a little bit at least.
And you don't.
Yeah.
You never will.
The only thing that, as the amount of rain that it takes for like an inch of rain is absolutely insane.
Yeah, the cubic
thousands upon thousands of gallons. The only thing you can do is take a pump if you have like a river or a pond that you can pump out of.
Trash pump it out.
Yeah, trash pump, which we just got one. My father-in-law got one for free, brand new, got it running.
Really?
Yeah, so if you need it, just talk to Jeff.
I just don't have any. I mean, the amount of hose I'd have to take to the pond.
For the pond all the way up there?
I mean,
yeah.
we're talking
thousands of yards, 1,000 maybe.
500 yards.
500 yards. Yeah.
That's a lot of
which
hose.
That's the amount of pressure that is probably wouldn't even work. But,
yeah.
So, but if the creek,
I mean, it would go, but there would be so much water in the hoses that it would take forever because you can't pressurize a liquid. So it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
But
it's gonna take a little
bit. I mean, the pond's gonna be half empty.
You're gonna spend $500 on hoses or more.
Oh, way more than that. Way more than that. So yeah, no, not gonna happen. So luckily, don't have to worry about it right now.
Yep, we got rain.
So on his farm, I planted probably 3 acres of turnips. I have like a 1.5 acre and 3/4 of corn in a fence that looks phenomenal.
Yep. So that's the back plot. You have You have the clover plot in the timber, the back kind of middle back plot where that old crappy blind is.
Field.
Yeah, we shot tiny that one.
Yep.
And then you have the front plot where the office is, the hawk office.
Yep. And then there's another one in between that's just an ag field that we don't really touch.
Oh.
Like we have one stand by it.
That linear kind of like J hook one.
Yeah, it's like an L, backwards L sort of thing, kind of a J thing. And there's one stand by it, but we really don't put any time and effort into it. If beans grow there, every once in a while we'll throw out brassicas in front of it, but it barely gets hunted, so we don't really put in the effort on that field. And it's one of those things, if it sucks there, they're going to go somewhere else and eat, and it's right in the middle of the other two ones that we care about. So the back plot has clover. There are some beans that are coming up. My uncle doused it with weed killer, and it knocked it out. So the beans are there. Hopefully, now that they don't have the competition, they'll take off. But I got about 4 acres that I'm going to overseed in cold snap rye.
Okay, well, let's take a step back and talk about how you're doing this, what implements you started with, and where we're at today with ending up with our tractor, which you haven't used yet. But
right. So, going back 10 years, I've been doing like little micro clover plots just because you watch TV, you watch all.
I think our first plot together was that one that we shot the does out of. Yeah,
at Oaks.
That was a tiny, the size of this garage,
20 feet by 20 feet in CRP, weed-eated, hand mowed, hand tilled with not even a tiller, with a cultipacker or a
and it wasn't even in a great spot. Like, it was just in a good on a fence line.
Corner of 2 fence lines, like not in the worst spot in the world, but
looking back, it's like, oh man, that's where we started. And that was probably the first plot I actually ever helped plant.
Right. That was a long time ago. And I remember getting that buck I called picket fence. Beautiful 10-pointer.
2007, I think.
Long time ago.
6, 7.
That deer was so big then.
Yeah. Like 145-inch 10.
I don't want to say that I get mad when I get those deer on camera
now.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'm not excited. It's like, oh, you'll be cool in 2 years. Like legit 135, 140-inch 3-year-old.
Yep.
Spindly rack, good frame deer, like beautiful deer.
Yeah. It just doesn't do it. It did it for you back then, and that's where you're at in your career. Now it takes, I've had this the entire year till, when I was at the golf tournament was it Sunday? I got a picture of a deer that just like, holy shit, you are big.
I'm still waiting.
You'll have it. I mean,
I'm still waiting.
You got deer that are around, your farms that you kind of know about.
They're there.
I got one, and I'm tickled pink.
And it should happen, and it will happen. But I sent in our Snapchat group earlier today.
Yeah, today.
There was like 9 deer, 145 to 175 that I had multiple pictures of by this time last year that were consistent on.
And they're eating your neighbors' apples, and they're at feeders, and like they're just
corn, beans.
Yeah, they're
neighbors.
They're not on yours yet, but when they come, when it rains, it pours, my friend. And I've watched this numerous years out of you where it goes back and forth. I don't have a deer on camera, then you have 5. So
and
it'll happen. Yeah,
it sucks not having the pictures.
So you started out with push mower.
Push mower, a backpack sprayer. And then now I have a 4-wheeler with a bunch of different implements. I have a Swisher mower, a cultipacker, a disc.
And that goes on the back hitch.
They go all is hitch mounted. They go on there.
Do you like them?
That Swisher mower's money.
Is it?
I just got
one that your father-in-law fixed up?
No, we had another one that I bought from a buddy, and it never worked quite right. It's all belt driven, so you get it under a load with too much tall grass, and it would just instantly stop it, and it would smoke the belt, and you'd have to shut it off. The Swisher I found on Facebook Marketplace, guy was getting rid of it, smoker deal, couldn't get it to run.
Oh man!
And I'm like, this is so basic. I mean, I have a diesel mechanic degree.
Yeah.
I went to school in high school. I went to Iowa Central for automotive, half of the day, my junior and senior year. I'm mechanically inclined.
Yeah, so you can fix it.
I understand the general practice of a lot of stuff, and if not, I got buddies I can call.
Or you can spray carb cleaner in there and try to get going.
Yeah, it was never a fuel issue. It was an electrical issue.
Oh,
turned out it was some switch somewhere. Well, that some switch somewhere is bypassed.
Nice, no more switch. So now it runs good.
Now it runs perfect, and it's awesome.
So you have that. You have a seeder. The Boss Buck seeder goes on the front, right?
Back. It goes
in the back. Okay. We planted with that with your old 4-wheeler.
Yep, a couple
when
years
we
ago.
did the sunflowers.
Yep. It's got its place.
Yeah, it works out pretty good.
Yeah, it's so convenient to have a big, bag seater,
Yeah.
or I have the big hard bodied seater.
Yep.
That
It's
the
nice
tank
to
one.
just sit on the four wheeler, hit the switch, and drive around.
Yep.
Not just walk.
But then if you can't hear it, if something gets clogged up.
But it's nice with a bigger seat, I would say. The beans and the sunflowers, you can hear them ting, 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 and it's throwing.
Or fertilizer.
Yeah, or fertilizer.
Yep. But when you're doing brassicas this time of year,
brassicas are touchy.
You
yeah,
feel it.
You have to have that you got to be
you need
in
visual.
it with
You need the visual.
and that's why the bag seater is so nice because it throws it out far. You can feel it with your hand when you're.
Oh yeah, like
that thumb.
My arm is so sweaty. I was covered.
Yeah,
in
and it's down your. I got brassicas growing out there where I take off my boots in the rocks. So.
Yep. So I got the 3 acres of brassicas that my uncle's done.
Got that done.
Went to my buddy Nick's, which is the farm I am going to purchase it. There's just a lot of things going on his end.
Need to fall into place and need to.
Yeah.
So hopefully by this time next year you'll.
Hopefully by season.
By season, okay.
Potentially.
Okay.
Like I can already pretty much do whatever I want. I mean I take.
Yep.
He lives 3.5 hours away from
Yep.
it, so I pretty much take care of it.
He's a friend that you grew up with, and got to know in college.
Yeah, I've known him for years and years and years.
That's where I met him, was with you.
I think he was in my wedding. I was in his wedding. Like we've known each other for.
I think we met at your bachelor party actually.
Could have, because he used to work at Fin and Feather in Iowa City.
I talked about your bachelor party today with Aaron, and that is
deer?
the biggest deer I've ever seen still to this day. In downtown Des Moines, we're going to a club. I won't talk about the club, but we're going to.
That was before this. That we left West Des Moines. We watched the UFC fights.
Okay.
At Buffalo Wild Wings.
But then we were heading down.
We drove to the bars downtown in Des Moines, and it's like 86th and Grand.
It was by
McDonald's,
car wash,
but it was in the parking lot of a car wash. And I got married September 13th, so it was like the weekend before.
Yep.
And we
double
turned the corner,
beams, just 220,
220 to 250.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Something
just
like
absolute. That. There was 5 of us in there. Juddy, Nick, was Josh there?
Josh was probably there. You, me, and then maybe Judge might have been there too.
Yeah, yep.
And it was just
and Nick.
Yeah, just crazy.
So all these deer hunters, when we seen this deer in downtown Des Moines, we turned around to go, and we pulled in the car wash and we looked at it.
Yeah.
That thing was huge.
Yeah, the biggest wild deer I've ever seen.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just insane.
But yeah, get off that tangent. And
yeah, so went to Nick's. I mowed my clover, mowed part of the grass. It's all getting into CRP.
And it was wheat. All of it was wheat.
Everything that was tillable was wheat this year. Last year it was beans.
Because it was a cover crop. He was going to put it in CRP this year, but
this fall,
NRCS wanted you to do it next.
I think this spring it's going to get put in.
And they'll drill it. You have someone that's the Truax or Great Plains.
The farmer can do all that.
Nice.
So he's going to do that, but we get 2 1-acre food plots. The one already has a bunch of clover in it, about half an acre of clover, which looks money because it's on the bottom of the slope, covered by trees, good shade, good water.
And do you know what program it's going in?
33?
CP33.
I think so. Quail. And actually, when I mowed it, I kicked up 2 coveys of quail.
Nice.
Both of them had over a dozen birds in it.
Good. That's good to see.
I mean, that farm's awesome. I
think the pheasant population and the quail are up for sure.
I've seen pheasants there. I've heard pheasants there. There's been turkeys on camera. There's been 2 or 3 hens with poults, like 8 to 10 poults with each of them.
So it's just going to get better as the years.
Get better.
When it's in CRP with your food plots, and it's just a rolling hill, right? Off into the creeks. You got your food plot here, bedding.
Yep, bedding all around it. The neighbors got.
And when it's in CRP, it's gonna be fun. You're gonna.
It's not for this year. It's not even for next year. Like 3 or 4 years down the road with tweaking things.
Yeah, and you're gonna spend a lot of time.
I'm gonna spend a lot of time and effort.
As far as when you have your own farm, and I've seen this because we just bought one. You're gonna spend probably way more time on that than you will on your uncle's, your Grinnell farm, or any other thing. In particular,
100%. Yeah, definitely. That's going to happen. And, you lose farms, you gain farms all the time. That's why you want to invest and eventually buy one.
Right.
So no matter
That's the goal. And I'm finally there. You're almost there.
It'll get there. And I talked to Nick this week, and he's like, dude, it's not going anywhere.
Yep.
Don't worry about the land prices. It's not changing. We have a deal.
He's your good friend.
He's a very good friend. He's like,
he's reliable.
He's like, you're one of 2 or 3 people that I would do this for.
Yep.
And he's one of 1 or 2 people that I would never worry about.
Yep.
Like, I'm not worried about him gouging me.
Yep.
None of that.
And he could. I mean, if he wanted to make money on it, he easily
There's
could.
a neighbor piece going up for sale that's, I don't want to say the price difference, and I'm not going to say it. But
that's the kind of guy he is. He's a good dude. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Like around here in particular, land sales within like an hour of Des Moines, I'd say is about $20,000 an acre. It's insane. Like even for just a house site or recreational, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's because you're within that hour of Des Moines, or that 30 minutes, that drives up the land prices. And I've seen that. I got a couple farms for sale. One of the friends, not friends, but an acquaintance, bought one just to the west of me. He spent a lot of money. He spent the stuff a lot to the north. So
right.
And I'm kind of in the middle. And as far as recreation goes, it doesn't matter if you're building a house or recreating. So I think you're getting a good deal with Nick.
Very good deal.
And thank you, Nick.
Yeah, I do appreciate it. And he knows.
He knows that you're going to take good care of the land.
Yeah. And I mean,
as far as being a steward of the land for wildlife, that's you. I mean, you're going to do more work than anybody else.
Right. And it's not, I'm not looking to flip it.
Yep.
I'm not looking to flip it. There is one farm I'm selling that farm for.
Yep. Your uncle's?
That's my uncle's.
Yep.
And that thing's got way too many zeros at the back.
Yeah, you might. I did play the Powerball or the Mega Millions, which was at like
right?
1.25 billion. So
anybody win yet?
Not yet. No, it keeps going. Like it was at 1, and it's at 1.25.
That was Tuesday, right?
Yeah, tonight's the drawing.
I probably better swing by Casey's and.
Yeah, I bought like I don't know how many. What farm? There's a farm for sale right now for like it's 1,300 acres. My buddy's got a farm right next to it. And he's got some big deer on camera, and so does that place.
I could buy the whole section if I wanted to.
Right.
If I bought that.
1.25.
Even at half, you know.
Right. Yeah. What do you get? 700 million if you win that with taxes.
Just go pay cash for the whole section.
That would be fun.
Yep.
It'd be sweet. But
someday.
So those are your food plots.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to reseed the one that you said was.
Yeah, the one was a lot of dirt.
Yep.
You know, very fine dirt, and it's on a little bit of a downhill slope, and just 3.5 inches of rain in 4 or 5 hours.
So that's what we'll jump into my plots, but mine was very similar setup. I have where my house site is on the farm we just bought, where we're gonna build the house eventually someday, or the house, barndo, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of a rolling hill similar to yours, and we got 3 inches of rain directly after I had planted. So all that seed,
like that afternoon, right?
Yeah, that afternoon. All the seed is literally it either washed down and got caught on some debris, or it washed in these little pockets. And you got beans, because I planted those early, and I planted brassica super early because I wanted to try to get something established. Right. And then you got these tiny little brassica, like the evolved turnip, just all over. And they're not doing good because they're competing against each other.
Yeah, they're just gonna choke each other out.
So I went and seeded that. That yesterday after the rain. So I got seed sitting on the soil, and then I seeded it before the rain, and I used our landscape rake, which I guess we can jump into our implements on our tractor that we purchased.
Yep.
So I used a landscape rake and seeded. So I did do that seed to soil contact, which hopefully some of that seed got covered is why I did it. So a lot of seeds on the ground. We got a lot of rain. We got 0.72 inches yesterday, and then 1/10 of an inch the day before.
You've been getting pretty consistent 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch for like last month.
But the 3 inches really hurt because I should have seeded right after that just to get those brassicas popping. But I got the west side plot on the grassy knoll that Jason and I went and we mowed it, and then we sprayed it same day. And I planted brassicas out there and some sorghum and sunflowers, and the brassicas kind of randomly took. Overseeded that yesterday, and I did the interior plot on the east side on the fence, which I had a pretty good sized deer run through there on the DS4K. Right. It was early, but he could be a whopper.
Yeah, who knows?
So we'll see what happens there. I need to go in and fertilize that because it is a first-year plot. It was all timber. I have a mixture that's probably have to break up. It's in a tin can out here, but it's something from the co-op that I got. So I don't know what it's all in there as far. I'm just going to throw it out and see if it helps.
Right. I mean, like 13,
It's like
13, 13.
Yeah,
is,
it's
is 10, 10, 10
it's
is
a
like a
general food plot that we got from the co-op in bags, and I just threw it in a tin thing, and now it's all kind of
randomly mixed
plotted
together.
So I'll have to break that up.
I'm definitely gonna do that. I don't know if I want to do it now before it really starts going, or if I want to wait, because I'm gonna do.
I would wait till the plants pop up, then do it, and make sure there's a rain in between.
Right.
I think in the future we'll get into soil sampling, see what it needs, and do that.
I might do the liquid fertilizer.
Yep. As soon as the plants pop up.
As soon as it gets to those little tiny inch
The
tall.
the only thing I've heard negative about that is if you don't you do that and then you don't get a rain, it'll burn up the leaves.
It can, yeah. Depending on what mix it is.
Yeah, there's plot starter and there's a bunch of other liquid stuff out there, but as far as brassicas go, you can throw them in your driveway, and I have brassicas growing. When you leave tonight, look out by the deck. There's brassicas growing in the deck, like where I take off my boots after I seed, and then in the gravel. So they'll grow in about anywhere, whether they do great or not. Sometimes you get those purple leaves, and obviously they're lacking. And
I've always had an issue with that.
They're lacking some kind of.
I have loamy soil on my farm.
Yep. So let's go from my food plots at my personal farm. We'll jump right into the lease. I went and mowed that with our tractor. And got stung by a bald-faced hornet while I was mowing, and I jumped off and I sheared a shear pin.
Right.
And that kind of hurt. But so I mowed, and then I came back a week later and I sprayed and planted the same day. And I have a trail camera there, and I think it was about a week and a half ago. So hopefully those seeds stay dormant, and there's some thatch there with all that rye and that common mullein and stuff. So hopefully the seeds stay on there, they germinate, they pop up, and I'll watch that. And I might have to reseed that. I'm not sure, but that's where I killed Carlos. And this time last year, I already had 3 or 4 inch plants. It was looking lush. So
yeah, we did it a little bit earlier. I can't remember when it was. I came over after.
Yeah, it was mid July.
Yeah,
it was mid to early. So that was the first year plot. Last year, this is the second. This year, then I did rye after season. So I did have some green browse for the deer because they murdered it. But so we'll jump into my in-laws. My father-in-law has 60, 70 acres, and 6 of it's alfalfa.
Right.
It's lush alfalfa. It looks really good. We have a fence gap camera that.
When they cutting it again?
Probably soon. He was down there. He threw some, I believe some lime or something out.
Probably.
Last week, and then it's with that rain, he'll probably get one more cutting for sure. And I went and threw some brassicas out in there just to, we'll see if they grow.
It's not going to hurt anything.
So I got the interior food plot up on top of the hill, and within all the honeysuckle and the ATV trails. And I just did the top part of that. I sprayed it real quick just because there's too many trees and stuff. I need to go in with their tractor and push them over. Did brassicas up there. I got a wild game up there camera, so I can kind of keep an eye on that. And then down below on the creek, I have probably an acre total on both sides. And after he mowed it twice, I went in there and sprayed it and seeded it. So hopefully that's going to pop up too, but I guess we'll see. I got some leftover seed. May or may not have to use it. I'm hoping I don't, but we'll see. And I guess as far as implements go, we were going to talk about that. Jesse and I bought a tractor.
What is it? What number is it?
790. John Deere
right.
790.
It wasn't a 970. It's a 790.
790.
Older,
I believe.
Older John Deere.
Yep. It's got 4-wheel drive. It's got a bucket. So it's got a loader. It's got the 3-point in the back. So we have a landscape rake for it, which is probably my favorite implement I've ever used. And I've used a lot. I drive a tractor for work and stuff. And we have bat wings and box blades. And it came with a landscape rake, which is like a harrow. And it came with a box blade, which is almost like a disc. You put those knives down. So we did this at Josh's right before we got the rain. So 2 days ago, he went out there. He grabbed brought him the trailer and the box blade. He put on his little tractor. He's got a little Massey Ferguson. Put on there, and he put the knives all the way down. And then he used the 3-point, he lifted it up so it's just the knives are digging. It did a really good job. And we took the landscape rake over it 4 or 5 times and tried to pull some of that thatch and stuff off of there.
Right.
in the roots, and then he seeded it. So his plot's going to look pretty good. It's just down the road here.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I'm going to need that on Nick's piece because where I'm going to access my hawk blind, it's, I don't know, it's a couple hundred yards from where I park at the entrance.
At the top.
But you go down this waterway and there's a lot of washout.
Okay.
So
you can grade it. Yeah.
Take it and just go back and forth a couple times. And it's going to be CRP, but not all of it qualifies.
Yep.
So I think.
So there's a washout you need to.
Yeah, there's a couple like you drive your 4-wheeler down there and it's
bang,
bang,
yeah.
bang.
That back blade or even the bucket itself, we've got teeth that go on the bucket, so that helps kind of get down there and rip up the roots.
And it may be spring. I obviously at
but,
this point.
So the reason why Jesse hasn't got to use a tractor and I've had it is because one, I have a place to store it, and two, well, he hasn't been able to use it except we don't have a trailer yet, so we can't trail it around.
Yep, and then it's like, oh, well, we could buy this trailer. Well, is it long enough to hold?
Yeah, and so we had Nick, my buddy, came and picked it up that day. It was like hotter than snot. Like it was 109 feels like. He came and picked it up from the house with his dump trailer and drove it over there. So otherwise, I was going to have to drive it all the way over there.
Right. And even that, it's
on
not far, but that
no,
tractor doesn't
it
go
goes
very fast.
slow. Like that Tour V will go twice as
It goes
fast.
like 26 miles an hour.
It's almost too fast. Have you ever had it up to speed? Don't.
Oh, yeah.
It does. Like it starts shaking. But it's cool. Like when you're on hills and stuff. I won't get off too far on this. It's like a little jet ski or snowmobile because you can lean into the hill. It'll go up my in-laws hill. The e-bike will not. Which it's in. You used to have an e-bike.
I drove mine to the neighbors had a little shindig across the trail the other day. And
you go down through the.
I went down by our pond and
up the hill.
I mean, it's like
it does.
this.
It's steep.
And I had it in medium.
Yep.
And it slowed down a little bit, but that was it.
Yeah, you can do a burnout, which I showed the guys. I might have hit the garage door when I did it, but you can do a burnout here in the high. You just hit that and goose it, and it'll. It's torquey,
nice.
Very torquey.
They're nice. They have their place.
Yeah, so this fall we'll definitely be utilizing those Tour Vs. They're sweet. The e-bike, I was trying to sell it because I don't use it.
Right.
It's nice as far as like public land go, which there's a lot of guys that do the public land thing, but we're not one of them. So I don't like to compete with the other people.
Yep.
Anyway,
Why do it if you don't have to?
Right. It's we put in the work right now, and they put up tree stands. So we're not against the public land thing. We put in a lot of time and effort into our deer herd.
They're
and
different.
Yep,
It's different.
It
effort,
is different.
It's different time. It's different.
Some of those guys go crazy, and they put a lot of time in the stand, which respect that.
We got a bunch of buddies. We'll maybe reach out and have one or two of them on a podcast sometime that
just hunt public,
or majority public. They may have one farm that's private, but they do a lot of public stuff. Yeah. So that's what's fun about having this. We can ask whoever we want to talk about whatever we want to.
Yep. So. This is why we're doing it, and do what we want.
So
implement wise, we probably won't buy anything else for the tractor. We talked about a tiller, but I honestly think using what we have, we need a trailer. We'll probably buy that next year. Maybe we'll start doing some soil samples.
Maybe if we need to keep our eye out for like a 2-row planter. I think
Josh has one we can use. I don't think.
Yeah,
they're pretty expensive.
They are, but like my uncle's is like a chain driven old John Deere that's probably 50 plus years old.
Right. The thing is, I've used a 4-row planter, or it's actually a 5-row, and with work, absolutely hate the thing. I don't. Right where I'm at this moment in my life, I know you've done a lot of beans. I just broadcast them, and you've done more corn. I see you have a use for it. I don't, because I'd rather just use the drill or just broadcast and see what grows.
I think maybe a drill would cover everything.
Yeah,
they are way more expensive.
They are, yeah. Like you're talking the Great Plains or Truax. You're talking 60, 70. I mean, they're a lot. But our tractor would not be able to pull that. It takes.
I've seen a lot of. There's a
lot of smaller stuff.
There's a lot of smaller stuff,
like 3-point, but those things are junk because I know that for a fact because I've used one with Mark and he ended up selling it because the seeds drop out the back, and maybe there's different brands, which there probably is.
It's a lot of research.
Yeah, there's some UTV ones that probably work pretty good. But as far as what we have and what we do and what we're planting, maybe a 2-row, you find a deal on one, it'll work. But as far as
my uncle's talked about upgrading his, so
there, you could buy his.
Buy his
I don't
for
know that
next
I see a huge use in it right now, and maybe I'll change.
I think on your lease,
yeah, it would be nice.
Money.
But I can get beans to grow without drilling them, so I just plant heavy.
Yeah, I mean, and I broadcasted beans when I did my turnips.
But
I put out.
I also think my inputs, where I'm at and what I'm doing, I've had a pretty good success rate on my style of hunting, and none of that has involved corn or barely any beans. Beans is like a cover to plant in Nebraska, at least in my opinion.
Well, because until last year, you had a big hiatus from late season hunting.
Yeah, I never even hunted
you were
late.
Early muzzleloader for like 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
So
last year was my first year, and I still shot a decent deer, which is Rax Lane over there.
Yeah, you get through November and you don't care.
Yeah,
I want,
so that's a very good difference in our style of hunting. Like, you're prepping for late season,
100%,
and I'm prepping for October
15.
And I don't want to hunt November.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, that's my style. I've hunted November a few times, and this year might be different with the landowner's tag, but I got some Nebraskas and some green brows that hopefully hold a deer or two. So
and it's
now Jace is hunting, so he'll get to do a late season thing if he doesn't shoot one in youth, which there's a pretty good odds that he'll shoot one or shoot at one in youth. So.
Right, and that's the best thing about Iowa's youth tags, turkey and deer. It's if you buy them before youth season is over, they are good the entire season. You just have
with
to
that
use the
weapon,
the legal weapon in season. So you can use a bow. You can use a bow all of archery season.
Yep.
Your youth tag is good to what, 16? Is when you have to start buying your own.
Yep. I think Big Jace just turned 16, so he can't do the youth season anymore.
Right. So you're 13, 14 years old. You're probably able to shoot a bow with lethal.
Yep.
Poundage.
So as far as youth season goes, we'll be using the 350 Legend that I used when I was shotgun hunting with you, and that thing is deadly.
Sophie killed her buck last year with a 350 Legend. I have a bolt action, and she shot her deer at 150 yards off a death grip. And at the time, I thought she hit him back. I let him lay. She had to go to school. I'm not going to pull my kid out of school.
Yep.
I went down there with my uncle.
Found him the next day.
Found him 20 feet from where we where we stopped.
Those guns are deadly, man. Like, there's no recoil.
Yep.
They're not that loud. Like, when I had that 8-pointer come in during shotgun season when we party hunted, I shot him on the run at 100 yards, and I hit him, he ran, and I shot him and dropped him. It's like, usually when I grew up shotgun hunting, it was I'm pulling the trigger as fast as I can. That's why, looking back, probably wasn't the smartest thing, but that's what everybody,
it's an evolution.
It is, and times have changed.
We will do a podcast on shotgun hunting.
On just shotgun hunting in general,
and
kind of where it started from where,
what you did growing up, what you did,
and where you're at now,
and where it's going.
Yeah, which might not be too many years, and it's kind of a thing of the past, really. So, that's definitely a podcast, and we get maybe some more guys that do the whole shotgun thing, but a lot of those guys, I will tell you, I would say 1% of them are the diehard bow hunters that I guess we would call ourselves.
Right.
But a lot of the guys are just out.
Most of the guys that go with us, maybe
a couple of them,
maybe 10% will do something besides shotgun hunting.
But they're not every day sleep, eat, and drink.
No,
whitetails.
They bow hunt a little bit. My uncle, he bow hunts.
Which I think a lot of these people, we're crazy. Like, we literally eat, sleep, and breathe whitetails. Like, I wake up at 3 a.m, check my phone, my cell cams.
There's very few days during the year that I'm not. If I get burned out or I have a rough patch, or right after season, that gap between when our season closes and the sheds start dropping like decently, so like January to
there's a little coyote hunting or try to ice fish. You put a lot of time in, but most of the time we're 24/7. Like, last night, my wife's like, let's go out and drive and look for deer. And there were deer everywhere. After the rain, there were deer
sure.
everywhere. I bet we've seen 150 deer from here to DeSoto. So.
Yeah, my phone's buzzed a couple times.
But so that's our food plot segment. Hopefully these cameras took and we can actually
Looks like
produce this.
They're still red.
Yeah, that's good. So,
but yeah, and once again, if you have any questions or comments or anything, drop them below. We're open to a lot of different things, different topics. You know, we may do a quick question and answer podcast.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions about food plots in particular, you know, we've planted a few ourselves, so we can maybe try to help you out with that. Like I said, we're still learning, but we'll try to help those guys that, you know, if you want to ask a question, go ahead.
Yep. Awesome. Well, we appreciate it.